हेलो एस्पिरेंट्स, आप सभी का हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पर स्वागत है। आज हम लोग DFCCIL के एग्जीक्यूटिव फाइनेंस का क्वेश्चंस और उसके आंसर देखेंगे। इस वीडियो में हम लोग क्वेश्चंस को पढ़ेंगे, हम लोग सिर्फ क्वेश्चंस को पढ़ेंगे और उसका डायरेक्ट आंसर देखेंगे, क्योंकि पूरा क्वेश्चन आंसर को पढ़ने में वीडियो बहुत लंबा हो जाएगा। ओके, तो हम लोग स्टार्ट करते हैं। विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन डिफरेंस कॉस्ट एनालिसिस एंड मार्जिनल कॉस्टिंग? Differential costing is the difference between the cost of two alternative decisions or of a change in output levels, whereas marginal costing considers the change in cost in order to produce an additional unit of outputs. Which of the following is not applicable to responsibility accounting center? Which of the following is non-agriculture income? Income from breeding of livestock. Ideal term variance is efficiency variance. Which of the following is a not step to change the point size using mouse? Select the cell with the data to change. Every person is required to register on GST portal when the turnover exceeds rupees 20 lakhs. Which of the following is not a characteristic of Kaizen costing? It is used for cost control. Accounting option is available under which of the following in Tally ERP 9 F1? Form 26 is summarize tax paid against spend. Which of the following is not included as the minimum contents of an interim financial report? A condensed statement of change in liabilities. It prescribes the details to be provided electronically on the GST portal by every registered dealer except person opting for composition levy, non-resident taxable person, person required to deduct tax at source, e-commerce operator, input service distributors, and person required to collect tax at source. GSTR1. The authority for advance ruling under Section 28F of the Central Excise Custom and Service Tax Act shall have which of the following as its chairperson? A retired judge of Supreme Court. X Limited sold goods of rupees 1 lakh to Y Limited. The municipal tax on the goods was rupees 1000 and packing charges not included in the price were rupees 2000. X Limited offered 2% discount on the list price of the goods. The value of taxable supply will be rupees 1,03,000. Which of the following is not power of the audit committee to investigate any activity? In case of import made by an individual for his personal use, the time limit for the issuance of the show cause notice, non-payment of custom duty within 1 year from the relevant date. Every person who has not been allowed a permanent account number and is carrying on the business or profession whose total sales turnover or gross receipt are or is likely to exceed rupees 5 lakh in any previous year must apply to the assessing officer for the allotment of pen before the end of that financial year. The proportion of debt in the overall capital called financial leverage. Which of the following is not an advantage of preference share by issue of fresh equity shares? Shareholding in the company are changed. The meeting of audit committee should be held at least 4 times in a year. There should be one and only boss for every individual employee. Which of the following principle of management is stated here? Unity of command. Tax filing process is incomplete and ITR is invalid unless your ITRB is verified. Which of the following is not a condition to be fulfilled before the issue of sweat equity share? The permission of SEBI has been obtained. Which of the following is not a money market instrument? Bond. Which of the following is not correct about activity based costing? It conforms to generally accepted accounting principle in all areas. The subscribed capital of a banking company should not be less than dash of the authorized capital, one half. Investigation into the affairs of the company cannot be initiated on the recommendation of which of the following? On the recommendation of SEBI. The form of organization giving rise to rumors is called informal organization. Which of the following is not correct about the splitting of shares of face value from rupees 10 to rupees 1? Confirm the alteration was authorized by memorandum of association. Which of the following is not an Ind AS that has been notified by MCA to deal with accounting of financial instrument? Ind AS 31. According the provision of section 194B, every person responsible for paying to any person, whether resident or non-resident, any income by way of winning from lottery or crossword puzzle or card game and other game of any sort is required to deduct income tax at the rate of dash if the amount of payment exceed 30% rupees 10,000. Which of the following services are exempted under 20, under entry 27 of the exempt items, providing a loan or overdraft facility? Which of the following is not a fundamental accounting assumptions? Money measurement. The universe network accessible information and embodiment of human knowledge is the definition of World Wide Web. The minimum qualification of the applicant to register as a corporate agent under ADA Regulation 2015 is 12th class. Who among the cannot be searched by a custom officer according to the powers granted to him according to the provisions of section 100 of the Customs Act? Any Indian irrespective of his location. Which of the following is not a tax benefit and as investigate in the Sukanya Samriddhi account? Investment made in the schemes will be eligible for deduction under section 80D. The ICI has recommended that an auditor should maintain his record relating to audit and other works done, including routine correspondence and other papers, for a minimum period of 7 years. This is the most important feature of any set of financial statement. The users of the financial statement depends fully on the same and hence the reliability factor is supreme. Which of the following characteristics of a good financial statement is described in this line? True and fair view of affairs of the enterprises. Mutual fund schemes that have a specified period are called close-ended schemes. Any person who has been granted a provisional registration under sub-rule 1 of the rule of registration 16 and who opts to pay tax under section 10 of the GST rules 2017 shall electronically file an intimation in form GST PCPM 02. As per section 133 of the Companies Act 2013, who prescribe the standards of accounting? Central government. The financial instrument that gives the holder the right to put the instrument back to the issuer for cash or another financial instrument, or B, is automatically put back to the issue on the occurrence of an uncertain future event or the death or retirement of the instrument holder is known as putable instrument. Which of the following is a relevance aspect of financial statement? Materiality. Another term of stock market is bourses. Is bourses. Which of the following is not an agriculture produce as per the provisions of GST Act? Jaggery. The liability of holder of shares is limited to the issue price. The primary aim of financial management is maximization of shareholders' wealth. This leader is dogmatic, autocratic. Provisions for taxation made by the subsidiary company will appear in the consolidated balance sheet as an item of current liability. Issue an option to the employees under the issues is called grant. Who among the following can file an application before the tribunal under section 245 for seeking an order to restrain the company from commuting an act which is ultra vires the article of memorandum of association of the company, member or depositors or any class of them? Which of the following statement is not correct regarding non-government employees not covered by the Payment of Gratuity Act 1972? Gratuity received, the period of service is fully exempted. The portion of the authorized capital that is not shown in the balance sheet is called unissued share capital. Which of the following type of opinion is expressed by the auditor when he states that having obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence conclude that mismanagement individually or in the aggregate are material but not pervasive to the financial statement? Qualified opinion. Which of the following is the first step to e-file your income tax return? Registered yourself. As in SMART goals indicate that for managing a project, its goals should be specific. Specific. The maturity period of call money is 1 day to 15 days, which is not a type of audit based on objective. Voluntary audit. According to IDA Regulation 2015, an applicant exclusively doing insurance distribution shall have a minimum equity share capital or contribution and net worth of rupees 50 lakhs. Every banking company incorporated in India shall create a reserve fund out of the balance of profit of each year as disclosed in the profit and loss account prepared under section 29 of the Banking Regulation Act, and before any dividend is declared, transfer to the reserve fund a sum of equivalent to not less than 20% of such profit. Which of the following is not a main objective of intercompany transfer pricing scheme? To prepare cost sheet. Which of the following is not deducted while calculating net on fund of a non-banking finance company as per the provisions of section 45 IA of Reserve Bank of India Act? Capital reserve. Which of the following is not a key performance indicator in case of project management, project planning? Under section 253 1 under section 253 subsection 1, where on a demand by secured creditors of a company representing dash present or more of its outstanding amount of debt, the company has failed to pay the debt within a period of 30 days of the service of the notice of demand, or to secure or compound to the reasonable satisfaction of the creditors, any secured creditor may file an application to the tribunal in the prescribed manner along with the relevant evidence of such default on payment or failure to suffer security or compound if for a determination that the company may be declared a sick company. 50. Who among the following cannot become a tax return preparer? A chartered accountant. Which of the following is not an advantage of standard costing? No paperwork and forms are required. Which of the following is not a contra entry? Transfer of funds from sale account to bank account. A document that is prepared under project planning stage of project management which clearly define the business needs, benefits of project, objectives, deliverable, and key milestone is called scope statement. Which of the following is not a stage in product life cycle development? Grapevine is informal communication. Property, plant and equipment is capitalized considering all direct expenses that have been incurred in order to bring the asset into the present condition. Which measurement method is financial is involved here? Historical cost. Which of the following cannot be a circumstances under which a company may not be wound up by the tribunal according to the provisions as stated in section 271 of the Companies Act 2013. If the company has made default in filing with the SEBI its financial statement or annual returns for immediately preceding 5 consecutive years. Which is incorrect in case of an engagement to examine prospective financial information. The auditor should obtain sufficient evidence as to whether management based estimate assumption on which of the prospective financial information is based and unreasonable, and in the case of assumptions such assumptions are inconsistent with the purpose of the assumptions. This tax gives you greater control and flexibility in choosing the format for a pasted it. Paste option smart tag. Which of the following is not included in the cost that relate directly to a contract that an entity can specifically identify? Cost of wasted material. The first step towards the computation of total income and tax liability is determination of residential status. As per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, the rate of underwriting commission for issue of debentures should not exceed 2.5%. This button is useful if there is need to temporarily switch from Excel into another without closing down completely. Minimize button. The document that determines what works need to be done and when, called project schedule. As per the provisions of section 380 of the Companies Act 2030, every foreign company shall within dash days of the establishment of its place of business in India deliver to the registration and required documents. 30. A banking company cannot engage in which of the following business? Trading of goods. Capital employed in ZX Limited is rupees 20 lakh, future maintained profit is rupees 4 lakh, and normal rate of return is 20%. Its goodwill will be nil. Which of the following is not given in the memorandum of association of the company? Regulation of the company. Which of the following is a preventing function of SEBI? Regulation of takeover bids by companies. A long-term financial decision is also called capital budgeting decisions. Uniform costing method can't be advantageously applied even when there is hiding or withholding of information. It provides a graphical illustration of a schedule that helps to plan, coordinate, and track specific tasks in a project. Gantt chart. Sense of belongingness, acceptance, and friendship in which type of needs under Maslow's need hierarchy theory of motivation. Affiliation needs. The settlement cycle in the National Stock Exchange is T+2. Dash is the code of project planning, resource management, and avoiding project scope creep. Dot. It is used to organize work into measurable sections, obtain measures in time, for example, 3 weeks. Work breakdown structure. Supply of goods that are taxable under reverse charge. The time of supply of such goods will be the earliest of which of the following data? Date on which goods are received. A selectable element in an electronic document that serves as an access point to other electronic resource is called hyperlink. Under functional foremanship, one who keeps machines, material, tools, etc. ready for operations by the concerned workers is called gang boss. Which part of the first schedule of the Finance Act gives the rate for calculating income tax for deducting tax from income chargeable under the head salaries and computation of advance tax? Part 3. Who among the following maintains the National Housing Credit Long-Term Operation Fund? RBI. Which of the following is not an element of direction fund of management? Delegation. तो वीडियो को एस्पिरेंट्स लाइक करें, शेयर करें, सब्सक्राइब करें. थैंक यू.